My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Samas and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Well, hello there, and welcome to WTA Weekly. It has been a while. This is the first WTA Weekly of 2026, and I guess this is the perfect way to start with two massive WTA fans poring over what was a slow burn but epic, explosive ending of an Australian Open. And of course, there's two of us, because we have Carson. Carson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah, a little sick, but ready to crack on. You shouldn't notice too much different with the podcast. I guess we're calling this a podcast, even though it's mainly a YouTube show.
I think so. There is a podcast. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, I think it's everywhere that you can get podcasts. So yeah, if you don't want to watch us, you can at least listen to us, I guess.
And you can listen to us on any of your podcast streams as part of the Just Follow Talking Tennis, and the audio from all of our videos goes on there. If you can't listen on, although I believe Spotify now does video, so you could also watch us on there if you want. But it's all about YouTube, and it's all about you lovely people watching as well. And we've got already 6 people watching along with us, which is great. And we do... so you do normally do this as like a live podcast. If there's a particularly interesting question that pops up, I might well highlight it, but I do enjoy reading along to what you guys are saying and responding to it within the conversation. So, and we'll flash up any comments on the screen as well for you guys. So, right, let's get into the 2026 Australian Open. And if you have been living under a rock and you don't know, Elena Rybakina is the Australian Open champion. And Carson, I want to just put forward a statement to you. Elena Rybakina is an Australian Open champion, and she's now she is a multiple Grand Slam champion. That just sounds right, doesn't it?
It does sound right. Feels like we've been waiting for this for 3.5 years, it feels like, at this point. So yeah, only her third final ever. Like, it's been 3 years at this point since she reached the final of Australia against Sabalenka. Just feels like a long time coming, and it's certainly she's had a journey in tennis and in life as well. Been a lot of storylines around her for especially the last 18 months or so. But yeah, saying that she's a 2-time champion now, winning at 2 different slams as well. Like, this feels right. And also just a little bit poetic to have to win it against Sabalenka, who she lost a great final to 3 years ago. There's just something poetic about it, it feels like, to have to come off of a rather long stretch of not having a ton of success deep in Grand Slam tournaments. And now the second one comes against the number 1 player in the world. It feels right.
Yeah. It really feels right. We've known that she was this good for so long. I think we have been calling her as part of the WTA Big Four since, well, Big Three, and then Coco Gauff came along and made it a 4 towards the end of 2023. But like, it's been 3 years of like her being one of the leading contenders to win slams. I made her favourite to win Wimbledon in 2023 and 2024. I remember. I think I also made a favourite to win Australian Open in 2024. No, that was Iga Swiatek. It was her or Iga Swiatek. There was still a lot of Iga optimism at that point. Not that there isn't now, but it's just different on my part. But yeah, for me, Elena Rybakina, just like, if you look at how many 1000s she's won, how many times she's beaten Sabalenka and Swiatek, and how much she's been racking these up, and how much faith us fans have had in her talent, it just makes sense. And it's like, I remember going through like, oh yeah, these are all the best performances from multi-slam champions, and I got to Rybakina, I was like, just feels wrong to call her a one-time Grand Slam champion. So to have this moment for her and for us fans, I think is so good. I think it's weird to me that she hasn't had many opportunities to win slams, really. She's been so good at taking them, if you want to think about it. Like, the only missed opportunity to win a slam I can think of is Wimbledon 2024, when she lost to Krejcikova, who decided to peak, as happens sometimes in the WTA. I can't think of any other slams I'm like, oh, Elena Rybakina could have won that in between now and then, really. So in the last 3 years since that Australian Open final, last time she made a Grand Slam final. So 2-1 record in the slam finals, pretty good. But yeah, where are you at with that after that little ramble, Carson? Like, do you think she's maximized her opportunities?
It's tough because, like you say, like, maybe there haven't been a ton of deep runs in tournaments where she missed an opportunity per se. But then also, like, it just feels like such a long stretch to get number 2. And I don't know, I think that if you just like threw out that someone was going to be this good, especially with a serve that good on the WTA, I think you wouldn't assume that it would be 3.5 years in between them. But yeah, I go back and forth on it.
Yeah.
That one, like, it, maybe I'm in the middle a little bit. Like, there hasn't necessarily been a missed opportunity outside of that match with Krejcikova, who ended up winning the title. Like, that's not a bad loss, by the way. But yeah, it does feel like there's only 2 at this point is almost a little surprising, especially when you see that she can play at this level over an extended period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think everyone knows in tennis, like, tennis fans just know how good she is. And how good she is, and I think it's interesting going when we think about how maybe there could have been more opportunities, but woulda, shoulda, coulda. She's had the credit she's had, and she's done very well from it, and now she's got 2 Grand Slams as well as many other titles. Let's talk about how she won it, because we've been talking about how good she is, like that serve. From my perspective, I got a feeling that she might win this against Iga Swiatek when she started taking control of that match towards the end of the first set, and she was really going for her shots, and everything about her game clicked towards the end of that first set, and she just sort of doubled down in the second. And then watching Pegula, she was so much better than Pegula for most of that match and just controlled it so well. It was only the end when Pegula decided to be stubborn and refused to lose that slowed it down. And so I was kind of going, I think then something, okay, so Sabalenka's playing really, really well. The one person who I think could stop her is Rybakina, and she is playing well. And we know Rybakina play well usually beats Sabalenka. And that's more or less what played out in that final, where I just kept on saying wow to both players, but particularly wow to Elena Rybakina during it. At what point did you think she's winning this, Carson? And has her tennis impressed you as well?
I mean, I think it's been very impressive. I think first time in this tournament that, I mean, we've said this, she's always a little bit of a contender. Like, she's never outside of anyone's top 10 on a hard court. But I think it was, should have this up, but the third round match or fourth round match, I can't remember, against Teresa Valentova, was like the first time where I was like, okay, there's might be something pretty special here where she could make a really deep run.
Could I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I didn't see that Valentova match, so finish your point after you answer this question, but I want to know what is you spotted in that Valentova match, because I said I didn't see it, so I'm interested to know
I think so. I mean, I'm assuming you've watched Valentova play, before, but she's
maybe for those who haven't, just
for those that haven't, she's another one of these young Czech players that is coming up. Hits the ball quite hard and fairly flat as well. So it's in a way, she is a mirror of a younger Elena Rybakina. And it was to me, it was the relative ease with which she was able to handle that pace. Valentova obviously is not a top 10 player yet. But I think she has that ceiling, but it's still as much to me about the type of shot that you're getting and what you're able to do with that. And to see her perform very well against that early on in the tournament, I think it was 2 and 3 that she won that match. Her service games were incredible. I don't think she got broken that day, but then what she was able to do on return especially stuck out to me, because she's one of these players I rarely have questions about Rybakina serving the ball. But against players who hit the ball really hard, return games can sometimes be a little bit iffy. But what she was able to do in that match against that pace with her forehand, primarily cross court, she's not someone who's going to go down the line too much with her forehand. That was the first moment where I was like, okay, she's able to handle that right now. She's got another week to play herself into this tournament. And when she's firing, it's very, very difficult to beat her.
Yeah, and that proved to be the case. And I think nobody can beat a Rybakina when she's really firing. Maybe Sabalenka just about. Iga's been known to get set and then take control of the match from there and kind of win the mental battle sometimes. But yeah, let's talk about it, because that final, like, I think that final is equally the story of the tournament along with who won it. I really, really enjoyed it. I called it for Talking Tennis with James, and we were having a blast watching it, as much as the ball was being blasted all over the court. And I think what I really enjoyed about it was they both hit the ball hard, as you pointed out, and that's a matchup that really challenges both players, Rybakina and Sabalenka. And what I really, really enjoyed about it was, we're both hitting big, but it was clean. And I didn't see very many, oh, that was bad, like crazy long balls, over hits. Like they did happen, but they weren't that common. They were at appropriate moments, like moments of tension, not just randomly flying off. I was impressed by the quality of that match. And I think it's going to be one that's going to stay with me throughout the whole year. But did you, that's my monologue on the final. Carson, you'll go tell me about how you felt about watching that final and what you enjoyed about it. If you enjoyed it, it might not be your style of tennis. You might be here for like, where's all the topspin?
No, I loved it. I mean, very enjoyable, and I mean, a very tight match as well, which certainly helps. But to your point about them like hitting the ball very well, I think both of them ended up with more winners than unforced errors, or if not, it was very, very close. So there was never really a moment where either of them like fell off. Sabalenka started a bit slowly, got broken in the first game of the match, which proved to be the decisive break of the first set, because they just held from there, and then it was just one break each for each of them throughout second and third sets. Sabalenka taking the second, Rybakina taking the third. I think it was really impressive to me to watch Rybakina recover in the middle of the third set. So there's a point in late in the second set. It's 4-all. Sabalenka was serving. Is that right? I forget who was serving at 4-4 now.
In the third?
In the second.
In the second. Yeah. 4-4 would have been Sabalenka.
So Sabalenka holds her game fairly easily, and then it's kind of this pressure moment where Rybakina needs to serve to stay in the set, and then honestly gets broken pretty easily in that game. And you feel like Sabalenka has a lot of momentum going into the third set, and she converts on it. Holds her first service game, immediately gets a break, holds again, and it's 3-love in the third set. And you feel like, okay, this has been a really tight match for a couple of sets, and now Sabalenka just won 5 games in a row. Usually that's the end of the story against anyone else, but Rybakina just clamped down, got a couple of breaks in a row, went on a 5-game winning streak of her own, and all of a sudden, like, after Sabalenka holds a game, Rybakina is serving for the match and played very, very well in that service game. She didn't allow questions to be asked of her. But the mental recovery for her in that third set, I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, it was interesting, really, because you're right. Like, she could have been downtrodden for the rest of that match, and she decided to absolutely go for it and keep fighting and wrestle back control of the match, and she did really, really well in her approach to it. I also think maybe we were a bit harsh on Sabalenka in the first game, because I do feel like watching that first game, Sabalenka tees 2 amazing points to start it, and then Rybakina starts ripping the ball and stuns Aryna, and I think that was Elena. It was a smash and grab. All of those breaks were smash and grabs by Elena, really, to just basically go, no, I'm still here. Whereas Sabalenka was, her approach to the match was just turning up the pressure cooker on Elena and seeing how she responded. And apart from the end of the second set, beginning of the third, Elena held up really, really well, especially when it mattered most, serving out that match. I'm seeing a lot of coverage saying that Aryna Sabalenka capitulated that final, and I don't think that's fair, because it's the BBC coverage, it's what the mainstream media has been doing. Like, TNT's been saying the same thing in the UK. I don't know what the American coverage has been doing because I don't have ESPN, but I keep seeing it going, you're kind of looking at letting the narrative from before define this match. If you watch the match in context, this does not feel like an Aryna Sabalenka capitulation. To me, this feels like Elena Rybakina seized the moment, took control, held her nerve, won it. Because Aryna really turned up the pressure. She held serve before finishing the match, took Elena to 30-all. It was 2 excellent points from Elena that kept it, that famous ace on match point. Really, the only thing I can think of that maybe would have gone wrong for Sabalenka was maybe the decisive break in the third. Maybe, or some missed opportunities to break back in the first, but these are real nitpicks. Most of the time when Elena's under pressure, she delivered to defend against the break points that Aryna was creating. I'm was about to ask you a question, then gave my opinion. This is probably not a very interesting conversation, but your kind of reaction seems similar to mine, Carson, when I'm saying Aryna Sabalenka did not capitulate. You looked like you were very vehemently agreeing.
Yeah, I basically entirely agree with everything you said. Like, this is more about Rybakina taking it than Sabalenka giving it away. So, yeah, maybe that second break in the third set. Maybe that one, but on one hand, like, I think it's a little bit of credit to Sabalenka that there is that reputation about her now that she just can't lose anything. She has to give it away in order to lose. And I mean, she's not looking for moral victories at all. Like, she's looking for Grand Slam titles. So she and her team are not going to hang on to that thought for too long. But also, like, I feel like it takes a little bit away from Rybakina and how well that she played.
Yeah.
Like, she just delivered in every moment that was necessary down the stretch.
Yeah. And I think this feels like a good moment to segue into Aryna Sabalenka's tournament and results, because she looked like winning this thing pretty much from the start of the year and still looked like winning this thing during the match. Like, she didn't do a lot wrong in my eyes. But there is this, I think you're talking about like this sort of idea that Aryna Sabalenka has to capitulate for her to lose. I don't think that's true watching it, because if you think about a lot of the matches that we've had, like Sabalenka in finals has been a theme of sort of the last 12 months, starting from that Maddie Keys win in 2025 in Australia. I don't think Sabalenka capitulated that match. I think Keys really did a great job of taking her opportunity and played the best that she's ever played and earned herself that slam. If I see the other results from last year, like, Ostapenko did what Ostapenko did in Stuttgart. Coco Gauff frustrated Aryna to death, as she can do in RG. Jessica Pegula played incredible at Wuhan in that semi-final. Rybakina played incredible to keep Aryna at arm's length in the WTA finals, which I think we'll come back to at the end of the podcast. So, to me, the only kind of maybe capitulations that could have happened, you could say, would maybe the French Open and maybe the Indian Wells one, and that's if you want to be harsh to Aryna. I don't think she capitulates easily, especially when you get to this stage. I think that you have to step up and beat Aryna Sabalenka, and she showed that again today. I think what's maybe disconcerting for people, because as the world number one, you expect her to win more than she loses. And at the moment, it's 50-50. It definitely is in Grand Slam finals. Or maybe not in, like, that's the actual percentage of finals in the last 12 months, but it feels close enough. That's how it feels rather than what the actual number is. So I don't know what you would say to that perception, Carson. Or do you think, feel free to disagree with me on this one.
I think, yeah, I can't think of a match where I would say, like, she threw it away. I mean, even like the Anisimova match at Wimbledon was just Anisimova just turning up the heat on her backhand and just like deciding that she's going to swat the ball all over the court. And that's almost like the strategy you have to have in a way. If you're not a Coco Gauff who has the athleticism to just get to every ball all over the court. So, yeah, I think there's maybe a conversation to be had about, there is a growing pattern now about people are able to play their best against her and able to hit with her for long enough periods of time that they're able to win finals. But she's not throwing anything away.
No, I would agree with that. And I think the thing is sometimes it feels like there's quite a high number of different people, but that's because you've got a very great depth of talent in the WTA right now. And there is a peak within definitely a wide group of elite players that can deliver it. I think Sabalenka's base level is so strong that she will consistently be in the mix, whereas there's that lack of consistency with everybody else, which is why she's kind of the spotlight. But I think in my mind, there's 3 types of world number one. There's the stereotype, which is they win everything or as close to everything as you can get. They win 70, 75%, 80% of the time. Tournaments, that is. You're kind of like, you're almost like what you got in the men's game at the moment with Alcaraz and Sinner almost being joint number ones in that respect. Or Serena Williams of old in the WTA. Then you've got they are number one because they are able to win the most tennis matches consistently. So I'm thinking of maybe Sabalenka when she first got to number one, or Iga points throughout her rise to the top of the game. But mostly I'm thinking of people like Simona Halep or Ash Barty. They might sneak a major at one point during that run, but that's not going to be, they're not necessarily going to be the sharp end loads and loads and loads. Maybe slightly harsh on Ash Barty because she had an interesting career and slightly short. And then you've got what I think Aryna Sabalenka is, and what I think Iga Swiatek has been as well. They're the world number one because they're the person you have to beat to win. They're the number one because they will be there and you have to beat them if you want to get a prize. Statistically speaking, last year that wasn't necessarily the case. We've seen, if we take the weird dip that Sabalenka had in the kind of Middle East swing around about this time of the year out the equation, the only people I think who beat her who didn't end up winning a title in a tournament was Aryna Sabalenka at Wimbledon and Pegula in Wuhan. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. And they both played amazing matches in that. That was kind of match of the year kind of level, and maybe didn't have enough for the final in that situation. If anyone wants to fact check me, by the way, I welcome it. I'm not going to be mad if I've forgotten something. But that's kind of how I see it. Is this is Sabalenka? She is the strongest. You have to beat her, and I don't think that's a bad reputation to have at all. And I think it's a reputation worthy to class someone as the best in the world. What do you think?
I agree with that, and I think people's opinions can get a little bit tilted because we're in an era of the men's game where for the last 20 years there's been like 5 guys.
6 if you want to include Andy Murray.
6 if you include Murray. But like really 5 big names who have just dominated tennis for the last, honestly, close to 25 years now. We go back to when Federer was winning his first Grand Slams, and we're coming out of an era in the women's game where it was Serena Williams just dominating everything for quite a while. And so I think a lot of people who follow tennis are used to having this one person at the top, or maybe 2 people at the top, that they get literally everything. And if you look at the WTA outside of Serena's 8-9 year run of dominance, especially, and then the men's game for the last 25 years, that's not normally how it works in tennis. It usually jumps around a lot. And the game has changed a lot now. So I think that it's fair to have a different expectation of players and their longevity and the level that they're able to maintain at the top relative to if you look back at the 80s or 90s where it was a lot more, you'd have someone go off for 3 or 4 years and then fall off. But careers are so much longer. Players play so much longer than they used to. But yeah, Sabalenka's, like you said, that was a great way to put it, that different category of number one, where I think people are looking for a Serena Williams type player on the WTA right now. And that's really hard to do, for one. That doesn't just happen. There's a reason that she's the greatest of all time. Yeah. That doesn't just happen every 5 years. So, yeah, that's a little bit rambling, but kind of
I think that's probably I'm rambling, and then you're having to add to my rambles.
It's all good.
So, I mean, I think what I will say, right, one point that you did in there around, it's around the depth of the WTA and around how competitive it is. I do think, and we have been in it for a few years now, we are in a place where it's not anyone can win it, because it did feel like that from sort of 2017 to the early 2020s. Like, I'd say it started to settle down from 2022 onwards into you don't have one or two or three, if you're lucky, maybe four. You've got four and a bit, or you've got a little bit of a pool of players that are probably going to take advantage and win something now, rather than you looking at a young gun suddenly upsetting the apple cart pretty much every week kind of thing. So I guess with that in mind, like, what would you say right now, Carson, is who would you put straight away in that category 1 elite group on the WTA right now?
I mean, I think the easy answer is the big four. Sabalenka, Swiatek, Goff, Rybakina. I don't know if you can put anyone else in that category consistently. When Krejcikova is healthy, she's probably the most dangerous to that group. And there are other players, like I think Andreeva is going to get there. Iva Jovic is going to get there. Valentova is a player that we mentioned earlier that I think has a chance to get there. Yeah, like players like Noskova, Tausen, on their day, like they can beat any of them, but like that's a list of players that they haven't won the Grand Slam yet. And some of them will, some of them may not. Like, that's what we play tennis to find out. But I think it's the big four in that first category. And then, there is a longer list of challengers, though, just that are like consistent on the tour. Like Keys has a Grand Slam title. Gula's been to 3 semifinals now, I think.
Yes.
A couple of US Opens.
That quarterfinal hoodoo from like 3 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, Aryna Sabalenka's made 2 finals in the last 12 months. So there's very solid players, and feels like there's a big four, and then on their day, 10 to 15 other players that can hang with them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Who would you put in like a tier 1 right now?
Obviously the same as you. I like what you did there with I think I would almost kind of separate out the kind of group of 10 to 15 players chasing, because you're right. There's this group of players like Krejcikova is a really good mention. Keys was a really good mention. Pegula's a really good mention. We'll get to her. And then I've also there's this category of players that were waiting to get there, who are like 18, 19. So, you mentioned Andreeva. I agree with you. It's a matter of time before she gets there. She's too good, too good to not get there without really bad luck. I agree with you about Iva Jovic. I think she's looking, or Jovic. I think she's got a lot of potential, and the fact she's already top 20, having just turned 18, is dangerous for the rest of the field. I think we have to look at Vicky Mboko as well. Like, she's really impressing now. I thought she did really well against Sabalenka for a set. Really good win against Tausen as well, this Australian Open. I think, those 3, Valentova, I'm watching her rapid rise coming up and going, yeah, watch out for her. Like, those 4 are kind of these sort of these new 18, 19-year-olds coming up, and they could be really messing with the established order. But that's a wait and see what happens with them but they're in the queue behind. I probably will get some flack for this, maybe also from some viewers in the chat, because I think this is something I will disagree with, a comment that Capricorn's put in. I don't think Amanda Anisimova is overhyped. I think statistically it's harder to justify putting her in category 1 because she doesn't have a slams and everyone else in that category has at least 2 now. And so that's a bit of a gap to jump. But at the same time, judging by the last 6 months, she has challenged or beaten Sabalenka, beaten Swiatek a couple of times. And I think those are the two that more often than not are the ones that you have to really do the measuring stick by, because I don't think she's played Rybakina enough or Goff enough to really say that. And I think anyway, and I can say about Rybakina and Goff with each other as well, but Sabalenka and Swiatek are the yardsticks for them. I think in terms of matchups, Anisimova is a confirmed challenger, which is why I would put her in the category 1 with the big 4. Now, I appreciate we've had some of this before, like I put Keys in it. She didn't last more than 3 months. Andreeva, she didn't last more than a couple of months in that, and maybe it was a bit too soon for Andreeva. But I feel like Anisimova's hung in there a little bit longer. And I don't think she had a bad Australian Open either. She just happened to lose to, well, she was very up and down in that quarterfinal, but she can be like that anyway. But she happened to lose to Jessica Pegula, really executing what she can do to the best of her ability, which is stay in there, stay consistent, redirect. She's found some pace that she can generate now as well, which is making it even more dangerous. For me, Anisimova shouldn't get ruled out. She's now on 3 consecutive major quarterfinals. So I'm willing to put her at 1.5 or maybe in her own kind of category, but I think she's definitely above the chasers for me.
Yeah. I'm just looking at Anisimova's stretch of matches early on in the tournament. And yeah, there's like Walter Stearns in the 3rd round. Wong in the 4th round, who was coming off of a really good performance and had been playing really well the week before and had beaten Noskova in the previous round. So she's starting to get to that that like point in the field where it feels like we went from she's well outside of the top 100 18 months ago to we just expect her to get to the quarterfinals now of Grand Slams. That's like a massive jump. And I think reflective of, one, the expectations of her, because like this stretch over the last 9 months or so, 8 months since Wimbledon, like that's not the first time that she'd made a deep run in a Grand Slam. There was the Roland Garros run several years ago that was kind of like her first arrival. And then with some players, it just takes time to like start to fulfill on that potential. So obviously took a mental health break from tennis for a while as well. But coming off of that, she's just been so good. Her head is clearly in the right place. And yeah, she still gets up and down a little bit emotionally sometimes, but she rarely plays poorly when she's down. I mean, you look at that second set against Pegula, just grinding it out, and then Pegula plays an excellent tie break to pull away. Like, hard to put anything past her. So, yeah, I think you could like maybe there's a subcategory in between like tier 1 of the big 4 and a tier 2 of players who have won a slam but like aren't consistently playing at that level.
Yeah, well, Anisimova not won one yet, but I think she's playing at levels that could win slams. I don't think Jessica Pegula's that far off either. Like, I think she was massively overlooked going into this tournament. I didn't do a power rankings pre-tournament because, for obvious reasons, we weren't operating as we normally do at Talking Tennis. If you're new to the channel, there's some community posts that explain why and what's happened. And everything. But like, I would have put Pegula number 4 going in, and I get the feeling I would have got some heat for that. And my justification was top 10 player who got a semi-final in Brisbane. That's usually a sign they're going to do well. And then she backs it up by beating Keys and beating Aryna Sabalenka really well. Like, they hadn't, like, she didn't drop a set in those matches. And stubbornly refused to lose to Rybakina, as I said earlier in the tournament. I don't know if Pegula will win a slam. I think, and I say this as someone who's the same age as her, time is probably running out for her. She needs to really take if an opportunity comes up, she really needs to take it. But I would also put her in that 1.5 category with Aryna Sabalenka for now, whilst she can do that and can compete, because she's kind of proved that now she doesn't have to be in the US to compete. She's done well in Asia. She's done well in Australia. She's definitely a worthy number 6 behind that front running group. And yeah, I think she's proven that she can beat them now as well, time to time. So I'm interested to see what this year holds for Jessica Pegula after this result.
Yeah, I forget when she turns 32 in the coming months, but like, as you said, like, she doesn't have quite as much time as these other players that we've mentioned. And yeah, but she's got a good result here now. Has done really well in the US Open several times now. Finals run, semifinals run, and I mean, rarely goes out early there. Her game should translate to grass so well, and it does, that it's almost like more surprising that there hasn't been a super deep Wimbledon run to a finals or semifinals. Like, I think she's got chances there for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like she's in that category where she's definitely chasing. I don't know if I would put her in a 1.5 category with Aryna Sabalenka, and part of that is just due to like how much time they have to win a slam. But yeah, I mean, you could put Pegula there. Elena Svitolina,
yeah,
kind of a player who's got like a similar path in a way, it feels, to Pegula, where a little bit on the older side compared to the rest of the top 10. And yeah, but a semi-final appearance here now. Played super well, and her match against Coco Gauff was like masterclass level of execution. And I mean, if you're going to beat Gauff, that's kind of the way to play. And Gauff didn't play particularly well in that match. Was like, yeah, just missing forehands quite a bit, and serve wasn't particularly great. But you still have to execute, and Svitolina did. And like, yeah, just was really stubborn in how she played. So yeah, I feel like Svitolina, in a way, like her tennis future or outlook on her future right now is, I feel, similar to Pegula, where it's like she can contend, and she's definitely, I don't know that there's 11 players in the world better than her at the moment. Like, I think it's a fair thing to say.
No. And it's been a long time coming. Like, when you think about how good she came out the blocks in 2023 when she came back from maternity leave and pretty much got straight to the French Open quarterfinals, Wimbledon semi-finals, winning one of the best matches of the year against Azarenka, and then beating Swiatek. Yeah, I think Svitolina is one of those players that, like, we were waiting for a long time to see if she would win a slam, and I think her opportunities may have come during the more chaos period of the WTA in the late 2010s. But if she had the game now then could have happened. But Svitolina, I think, is really exciting to have her back in the top 10. I think it's thoroughly deserved. She's been working her way back up. I think she's been consistently getting wins. She's got some good titles under her belt. She's kind of in the mix. She puts herself in the mix and still competes well with the top players. Or still showing she's obviously beaten Goff. Can challenge Sabalenka on occasion or Iga. I think that she's going to play a big role. I think it's so exciting that we've now got her breaking back into the top 10 and kind of achieving that. I think that's one of my favourite stories from the tournament. And hey, historic, we now have 2 players in the top 10 who are mothers for the first time ever, with Belinda Bencic as well. Bencic is someone who probably does have a little bit more time in that chasing pack, really, to do it. She might have to catch fire in a tournament, but she's definitely in the list of probably the wider list, the other list. If you want to go for like a third list of people who haven't won slams, but are consistently there, but aren't necessarily that young, in the same way as the 18-year-olds list I made earlier. Yeah, I was really a big fan of the Svitolina story this tournament. So super excited to see where she goes this year now. And like this Australian Open does set so many interesting storylines up for this year for so many players. I'm gonna, because I appreciate we've got 46 minutes in. We've talked a lot about the WTA Big Four, and I always try and make sure if they play that we touch on the storylines from those 4 players throughout the tournament. So there's 2, we haven't talked about their results yet. Let's cover off Coco Gauff now, because we've mentioned her losing to Elena Svitolina. Where do you think we're at with Coco Gauff after this tournament? Quarterfinal, good run. Not great performance in the quarterfinal. End up losing a match that she might win against a less good opponent. Svitolina, as you say, played really, really well. It's kind of like the Kostyuk match from a couple of years ago, where neither of them played well in the quarterfinal, but Gauff won it. In this case, she was playing the wrong Ukrainian in 2026. But yeah, quarterfinal. She's adding to the Australian Open title, French Open title even, and a couple of that Wuhan 1000 as well. But has now dropped to number 5 in the rankings, is now the US number 2. We'll see if that holds after Doha, because Amanda Anisimova is going to lose a chunk of points. But yeah, where are we at with Coco Gauff, Carson, and what storylines are we setting up here?
In a way, it kind of feels like we're in the same place we typically are when she doesn't win a slam. I mean, quarterfinals, like, that's nothing to roll your eyes at. She did well and beat Muhova to get there, so it wasn't like an absolute cakewalk. Yeah, and was it the 3rd round? Haley Baptiste. First set was just Baptiste playing out of her mind for 45 minutes or whatever that was, and then last 2 sets fairly straightforward. So I think in a way the conversation we can have about her feels kind of similar to the conversation we have whenever she doesn't win a slam, which is that her ceiling is just as high as anyone else on the entire tour. Sabalenka, Swiatek, Rybakina included. Like, she's in that top 4 for a reason. And maybe she's got a slightly lower floor than any of those other 3. Yeah, it feels like she's the one that we talk about having like weird losses more often than we talk about those other 3.
Yeah, that's fair. Rybakina sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Less
often, I feel like, especially in the last 12 months.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, but then you see how good Coco can be when it's all clicking. And you're right. She's got the bigger discrepancy in kind of the highs and the base for her. yeah, I agree with you. Not much has changed for Coco after this tournament. She's still working on things. It's going to take some time. She'll be back and she'll be competing and she'll bounce on her way to another trophy. I have no doubt about it. Right. This is the point. And now we go to Iga Swiatek, who we have mentioned in glowing terms in terms of reputation, but not necessarily in terms of this tournament. She made quarterfinals. She lost to Rybakina in a match that I'm getting weird. Like I've that first set between Rybakina and Swiatek, I really liked, but no one else seemed to. But I thought that was a really good contest between the two of them. The second set was not a contest. I think Iga got through who she was expected to beat. But I do get the sense that things have cooled down in terms of Iga hype right now. And I think this Australian Open run kind of reflects that in some ways. Maybe that'll be a good thing for her going into the rest of the season, and she can be a bit more under the radar, because that's when she can suddenly pop up and start winning loads again. Yeah, where are you at with Iga Swiatek, and what storylines are we watching for her now?
I think she beat everyone that she was supposed to. Rybakina has always been a tough test for her. Surf Ali, saying pointing out in the chat as well, like in the WTA finals when they played, like it was a fairly one-sided match, as well. And Rybakina can get the ball back with pace, very flat, and that combination gives Iga less of a chance to put shape on her shots. So it's not the easiest matchup at all. I agree with you. I think the first set was really high level in between them. I enjoyed it a lot. And then, second set was just Rybakina running away with it. Just like absolutely redlining at that point. And I mean, we talked plenty about the AO final. That second set from Rybakina, maybe the best set that she played the entire tournament. And when she's playing that well, and this doesn't take anything away from Iga, but when Rybakina does play that well, it's hard for anyone to beat her. And so I think Iga, she's obviously still working on the serve a little bit. It's not quite top level yet, but it's greatly improved. But these conditions, that heat, especially on that day, was a fairly warm day. And then super fast Australian courts against Rybakina, who loves playing on fast, hard courts. Not a great combination. So there's no excuses for it. Need to go out and win, but a lot of things going against her in that match, and she was able to keep it quite competitive for a while.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an interesting perspective then. So what we're saying here is that Iga Swiatek performed as well as she could given the circumstances, and maybe wasn't a contender due to this was one of her big rivals having a good day, or a couple of her good rivals having a good day, because we still haven't got a Swiatek Sabalenka final, but I think that could have played out maybe a little bit differently. Would have depended on Iga's motivation. But yeah, I think what we're saying here is that let's get rid of the hypotheticals there, because it's not helpful. Iga Swiatek just happened to, wrong place, was kind of wrong place, wrong time, almost.
Mm-hmm. I think, a little bit of that, and a little bit of wrong place, wrong time. And I think we had this conversation a little bit earlier just about the state of the tour and the contenders and the top level of Sabalenka. and the expectations of her. And I think it brings about an interesting conversation about the top level of Iga and what does she need to be at that top level, and is her floor high enough that it doesn't matter against some of these other power hitters? And right now, I think it's pretty clear that it's not, especially on these faster hard courts. And yeah, I mean, we already had this conversation, but kind of more so just reflective of the state of the tour, and the strengths and weaknesses of the top four. Relative weaknesses. They're all much better at tennis than I am at anything in my life at all. But there's a floor that she has that against certain players in the right conditions can expose her a little bit.
I think this is not anything new. We've been saying this for 2-3 years now about Iga Swiatek, or people have. I still think that Iga's matchup against power players is a little bit overhyped. I think she beats them more often than she loses. It's only certain players who play with power that she struggles with, them being Sabalenka, Rybakina, Ostapenko. That's the three. The rest she can lose to, but she usually beats. Take Aryna this tournament. That went 3. Third set, bit weird because Aryna went away physically, but that was kind of a microcosm of a big hitter who catches fire can beat Iga, but they could beat anybody in that situation. It's the same sort of thing. So it's nothing that nobody's aware of. It's just then, things need to keep evolving. And I wonder if Iga Swiatek 2.0 under win for set hasn't fully finished yet. Either, like as you say, the serve still being worked on. I think dealing with the faster conditions is still a work in progress, even though she won Wimbledon, even though she won Cincinnati. I'm interested to see how Iga does in Doha. A very happy hunting ground for her, because I think she's kind of back. She's more herself now than she was in 2025 when she got there, I'd say. So I think that will be an interesting tournament to revisit this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at her results from early last year, there's a ton of opportunities to pick up some really good points in a lot of places. This is a part of the year that historically she has dominated, and that didn't happen at all last year. But this Middle East swing, she's really great there. Indian Wells, Miami, I mean, she's made very solid runs there. I mean, Miami is second round points that she's defending. So, and then you go from there to clay court season, which was kind of where we all, for the first time, I think, started to have the realization that there was something not quite up to the same level. And then she goes out and wins Wimbledon and just kind of like resets expectations. So yeah, she's got, I agree with you. I think she's much closer to like normal level than she was 12 months ago. I think it's going to be a good spring for her, regardless of what happened in this one match.
Yeah. Having said that, I think we circle back at this point because we've kind of done our big names. We've given some shout outs to some other people who did well this tournament as well. Like Iva Jovic in our list of wait till she gets to top 10 list. Great performance this tournament. Someone else who could be having a very good spring is the champion, Elena Rybakina, because we had a commenter point out earlier on, and I highlighted it on the screen. This is pretty much the same group of people that she beat to win the WTA finals. Iga, Jess, Aryna. She's now playing really, really well. She's come off a run of like title, quarterfinal, title, quarterfinal, title. And I think it looks like she's healthy again. It looks like fully healthy again, as that sort of blip we had for about a year to 18 months, more a year, 2024, happened. If this is Rybakina that we've come to expect from early 2023, that could maybe hold this, watch out WTA Tour. So, yeah, how do you want to? So, Carson, talk to me about your thoughts on the setup of the storylines for 2026 that come from this Rybakina victory.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you win Grand Slam this early in the year, you're going to be number one in the WTA race at this point, which, I mean, whenever anyone is able to win this, like it is a fair conversation to have. Like, are they world number one material? And we're going to find out over the next, 10 months, 9.5 months, such a long tennis season. But yeah, I think like that's a storyline I'm interested to follow, just the consistency. Can she duplicate this performance somewhere? She's already won Wimbledon before. She's certainly a contender there every time she shows up. Can she win it again? Can she figure out some of her woes at the US Open? Is clay season going to be a little bit of an improvement from her? So I think there's a ton of room for her to progress in the rankings and get more points. But yeah, her being number one, that's where my storyline for Rybakina is right now.
Can she get to number one? That's a good question. I think there's an obvious answer to that question, which is yes. I think it's different to can she win the other 3 slams? Although my answer to that is also yes. One of the debates I had with John after we finished the stream of the final was, can Elena Rybakina win the career Grand Slam? And he very much dismissed her chance of winning the French. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. I don't think you should, because she's won Rome. She was playing well enough to win the French in 2021, which was a crazy tournament anyway. There's good signs from previous French Opens. I think this 2020, I think it's plausible. And then, of course, the US Open's on a hard court, and we saw progress there last year. Wimbledon, as you say, she's always a contender. But that's kind of a step above becoming world number one, career Grand Slam, calendar slam. But I think she'll be winning tight. She'll be contender on multiple surfaces. That's my point. She's definitely going to be a contender in every tournament this spring, everywhere in the Middle East, everywhere in the Sunshine Double. She's won Indian Wells. She's been to the Miami final twice. I don't know how she's not won it. Kvitova and Collins, I guess. No, she had a very good chance of winning Doha a couple of years ago. Played an excellent set, just lost to Iga, kind of the opposite to the one they played in Australia, actually. Or the mirror, I should say, not the complete opposite. But I think Rybakina is setting herself up for the kind of season that would see her challenge for number one. She can get to number two quite quickly. Although, let's see, because she's going to be competing with someone else for that spot who's also got points to gain in Iga Swiatek. And yeah, I guess I will finish with this. Based on what I have seen at the very, very end of 2025, literally the last couple of tournaments of the year, the first couple of tournaments of this year, I think Elena Rybakina is currently the best player in the world, but we'll just have to see how long that lasts.
I think that's a fair statement. Yeah, played very well in the Asian swing and then won the WTA finals. Brisbane, she lost to Muhova in 3 sets. There was the quarterfinals, I believe. So, yeah, there's still players that can beat her, for sure. She's not. I try not to get too caught up in like recency bias, and like there's still a path where players can beat her and keep her from getting to number one in the world. But I mean, I think she's been, in the last 4 months, probably the best player on the planet.
Yeah, she really is. I think that's where we're gonna leave it. I would love to hear more of your thoughts on what the path to beating Elena Rybakina would be, but we'll maybe do that another time. I think an hour's show is good. Carson, thank you for coming on and reliving and enjoying the Australian Open with me. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to be on here.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone who's been watching this live show. Thanks to everyone who's been in the live chat. And thank you to you as well if you're watching this back as an episode, if you didn't catch us live, whether you've liked or commented or subscribed. Please do, by the way. But even if you just watch the video, it's appreciated, and hopefully we've held your attention for the last sort of hour. And thanks for everyone's contributions to this. If you're listening on podcast, as we said at the top of the show, welcome. Please leave us a review, leave us a comment there on your platform. And yeah, well, we're in the middle of some WTA tournaments right now. Abu Dhabi, Ostrava, and Cluj. We'll be back this weekend for more WTA Weekly to review all of those tournaments and like how they went down. You know, I think there's a few storylines bubbling away there in those three events. And we'll also be looking ahead to Carson. I can't believe this. We're already going into a 1,000 in like 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Doha on Sunday.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Yeah,
like
2
back to back. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not as crazy as when they used to do the Tokyo 1000. Well, it was called something else back then, Tier 1 event, the week after the Australian Open. Which I think was even crazier, but not far off. So it'll be interesting to see how these players have kind of bounced back. Maybe Doha will be a bit crazy, depending on how recovery is going. So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll break down what we think is going to be happening, who's playing, who's not. We already know Naomi Osaka's not playing in Doha. Should be interesting. A player we've not touched on today, but maybe another time. I've rambled for 2 minutes in my closing. Thanks again for everyone for watching. Thanks, Carson, for coming on. I'll see you again very soon. But in the meantime, take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.